Show. Welcome everybody to the JDY Aguila Show. La, 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 la. Welcome to another episode of the Jay Aguila Show. This is your boy Jay Aguila, and today I have someone so amazing, so spectacular, educational. I call him the second Steve Jobs of the art industry. Ladies and gentlemen, my boy Oscar Rivera. Oscar, thank you again for doing this today.
It's a great pleasure for me.
Now, Oscar, let's start with who you are and tell us about the company that you are slowly developing in this media.
So, my name's Oscar, as Jay had told you guys, and the art project. I'm sorry, this dude's distracting me.
Well, edit out post.
Yeah. Now I have to come in. Yeah. So the project that I started is actually called Project Proof, and that's projproof.com, which is basically an outreach through art. And what it is a aesthetically pleasing apparel and outreach brand that I've been developing over the past couple of years. And the undertone is faith. It has a faith undertone.
And that's one thing we don't see a lot in stores is that we don't see a lot of your designs, those positive message that could be wear anywhere. You know what I'm saying? And what got you into this beautiful culture of art? You know, we see art, you know, in newspaper, on television, on newspaper, on the street and stuff. Like, what got you inspired to be in this culture?
Ever since I was a kid, I always had an interest in art. Even from kindergarten time, I've always had an interest with comic books and just illustration in general. I grew up with the Saturday morning cartoons. You know, I would be the kid that got up and poured myself a bowl of cereal and watched Ninja Turtles or X-Men. That was one of my favorites, and I always had an admiration for that. So one of my great inspirations as I was doing that, I would just draw for the longest time, and I thought to myself, you know what, this is something that I can passionately pursue as an actual career. And as some of you may know, it's difficult to be an artist and a professional, or to actually have something that's a viable means of making a living as an artist. So I was thinking of the best way of being able to, you know, pay my bills and do what I got to do as an artist. At first, I tried to lend my talents towards architecture, and to be honest, that really wasn't a passion for me. Some people are passionate for that, and that just really didn't suit me well. But when it came to graphic design, that was something that was kind of new on the market. Like I went to school in the early 2000s, and well, to me it was new, something that I never heard of. And a friend of mine started to show me different ways how to, I guess you can call it early Photoshop, or it was like really early at that time. It was like Photoshop 6.0. It was like really early retouching, and
Windows XP, right?
Windows XP. It was like Windows 98. Like it was way back when. And you know what? To be quite honest, like it was something that took off for me. And I know that retouching is not even a major part of graphic design, but that's kind of like what segued me into graphic design. And as I learned more and more of the softwares, and I looked up more and more great artists to inspire to be like Paula Scher or Michael Beyruth or Stefan Stagmeister, that kind of really drew my interest. And I was like, you know what? This is actually really cool, and I think I can enjoy doing this, and I am a firm believer that if you love your job, you're never really working, you're just enjoying life.
Quote of the day right there, guys. Now, you are a full-time designer. You also run a full-time company with clothing, which I'm a big fan of personally. Now, how are you able to balance these different areas and still be able to be up to date with like the new, you know, Marvel, DC comics and etc.?
I always find it kind of funny when people say, you know, the balance, like as if I have like the scales and I'm like putting like 1 gram of something here, 1 gram of something.
I see it more like a pie chart. So, you know, you divide it into a certain time period of your day.
So what I do, I think if you're passionate about something, you'll find time for it.
Word.
If you're not passionate about it, you're not going to find time for it. It's easy as that.
You selling shirts still?
Huh?
You selling shirts?
We are live, guys.
For service? Yeah.
And we're editing this on post.
So what was the question again?
Oh, we're still talking about the DC and Marvel, how you have time.
Keeping up with all that kind of stuff. Well, working full time and balancing a self-initiated passion project is not the easiest thing. I'm not going to say it's the easiest thing, but when you have passion for it, you find time for it. You literally find time for it. If it's 30 minutes in your lunch break, or if you have just a moment to write something down, or if you have like a pin board open and you see something that interests you on Pinterest, you just pin it and you're just like, you know what, this is inspiring me to make something cool of my own. You know, there's nothing wrong with seeing things and being inspired by them. There's a quote that says, good artists borrow and great artists steal. When you steal something, you take it and you make it your own. So if you are taking inspiration from all over the place and you're making it your own, I think that's great use of your time, even when it's like in your downtime, or even if it's just a few minutes a day. And then when I get home, the times that I'm not in church or not being of service to something, that's when I take the time to, even if it's half an hour, 30 minutes, to even sketch something out. I always carry a notebook around with me. I unfortunately am kind of biting my own tongue on this one because I don't have one on me right at this moment, but I typically have a notebook with me or a napkin or something that I could just write down ideas. And to be honest, the best ideas always come from the napkin. The best ideas. It's like you're sitting there, you're eating your favorite sandwich, and you are inspired by your sandwich. Then all of a sudden, you're like, you know what? I'm going to come up with the most award-winning design ever. And that's almost how the Stay Humble hat even came around, like the first design that I came out with.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting some background story to the famous Stay Humble hat. Yo, this is crazy. I always wanted to know where you got that idea. Like, people at work, I work for a music company, and when I wear that hat, they be like, yo, what does it mean and where you got it from? And I give them background story, but I never told them, like, that background story, and that's, like, it's a first. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. There's a lot more that goes into the idea than just a napkin, because the conception of the idea is not necessarily equivalent to the completion. Okay. So a lot of times I'll have ideas that I think are phenomenal, and then at the end of the day, I end up not doing them at all. So it's a whole bunch of things, and to be honest, I was a little bit skeptical about the idea of having something that really promotes humility, which a lot of people are just egocentrical. And one thing is that my girlfriend was somebody who really pushed me. She was like, you should do this. And I'm like, but what if people don't like it? You know, like what if they hate it? You know, what if this? And she goes, who cares? And I was like, you know what? That's true, because I'm just doing it because I love to do it. Yes. When your motivation is only money and not because you love it, then it becomes an issue, because you feel greater disappointment when you don't make money. And you feel disappointment in that aspect, in the financial aspect, and also in yourself, because you're not achieving the goal of manipulating other people to purchase what you have. You're not achieving that goal. But when you're making something that you love, and you just genuinely love it, and you're making it for yourself, and you're like, you know what, this looks flippin' awesome, and I just want to put this on the market. If nobody buys it, I don't care. I'm buying it for myself. Then you feel accomplishment.
Guys, this is a business perspective right here. This is how you should live life. This is, yo, you put that on a shirt, literally. Like, I love this. I want to end this interview with, like, earlier, because we're at camp right now, and I told him, like, one of the questions is, like, what are his top 5 animation? He's not really into anime, but he's into animation. So, Oscar, the floor is yours. Your top 5 animation, please.
It's always hard to come up with a top 5. It's really hard to come up with, like, the top 5, because some days you're just sitting there and you're just like, I love Studio Ghibli. That's my favorite. And then all of a sudden you're just like, wait a second. Toy Story is definitely my favorite. So the one that I always go back to, number 1 for me, is Toy Story. I think that is the movie that really broke all the ground. That was the thing that put everything on the map. If it wasn't for Toy Story, I think a lot of the headway that was made through that movie wouldn't have been reverberated in all the stuff that we see today.
There's work in the background. Don't mind that.
So I'm pretty sure that's got to be my number 1. If I'm gonna go number 2, you know, that's a tough one, because you know what? Let me not only do Disney Pixar stuff, because I like all sorts of things.
Animation.
Spirited Away is definitely up there. Howl's Moving Castle, and you know, I think that some people might not agree, but I loved Afro Samurai. I thought Afro Samurai was incredible. Yes. Incredibly violent, but the animation, the storytelling, it was only 6 episodes, but it was so intense.
I know he's gonna throw one.
Avatar: Last Airbender. You can't go wrong with that.
Okay, so quick sidebar, because you really caught my attention on that. I did a broadcast, the Shinobi Unfolded. Episode 2, we spoke upon Airbender, you know what I'm saying? And the question was, is it truly an anime or an animation? Now, by definition, anime is a Western culture art. But Nickelodeon and a lot of YouTubers and broadcasters mention them as an anime. Do you agree or disagree to their standard?
Well, isn't anime Japanese animation?
It is.
But the creators of Avatar: Last Airbender, are they not American?
They're Nickelodeon.
But the actual people who created it, not the channel that it's on. I think that they are American. So wouldn't it be considered just American animation that draws inspiration from anime?
Yes, as well as the most of the culture to it is more of like China compared to Japanese as well. So it's like cousin to the Japanese art. So
maybe we can call it a hybrid. We'll call it an anime-shun.
I love that. I love that. And lastly but not least, your number 5.
Number 5. I think that this might deserve a higher spot, but I gotta say, The Dark Knight, the 2 animated movies that came out from DC. I think DC is killing it in their animation game. Marvel's not even close when it comes to the animated straight-to-DVD movies. Okay. And The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2 are so incredible. My favorite Batman is Old Fat Batman. I love Old Fat Batman. And look, those are my words. Old Fat Batman. Nobody else will call him Old Fat Batman but me. And I love Old Fat Batman. He's old, he's fat, and he's angry at everybody. And I think that's in there. That's in my top 5. And you know what? Maybe it's not in order. Maybe it's just 5 that I love. Let's just put it that way. It's just 5 animated titles that I love.
Okay, I want to finish this interview, but you bring it up so good. Like, you're bringing up something like I got to ask. Now, when we're talking about the DC universe, okay, we know they're killing the game compared to the Marvel universe and their comics and such. Can you tell me, in your perspective order, Batman's movie? We're going to stay with Batman, right? We have the Red Hood. We have Robin versus Batman. We have the Killing Joke. We have Batman Beyond. No, was it Batman Beyond? Bad Blood. We also had so many others that I can't think of, but I've watched them. Like, compared to your number 5, what do you think of those movies, and what order would you place them in the DC universe?
Well, definitely Dark Knight Returns is number 1 for me. Like I said, Old Fat Batman, he's my top guy. Bad Blood is probably my least favorite out of all of them. And I have it purchased. I purchased my movies, and I think it's my least favorite out of all the ones I've purchased.
I think I know why, but okay.
Yeah. And then there's The Killing Joke is definitely up there. Batman Ninja. You cannot forget Batman Ninja. I think that's number 3, I would assume, because Dark Knight Returns 1 and 2 are number 1 and 2.
Yep, okay.
Yeah. So, after Batman Ninja, I would say Killing Joke. Year 1, you cannot forget about Year 1. Batman Year 1 is incredible. And if we're including just DC in general, can't forget Flashpoint. Flashpoint is definitely up there. And the other one where it had the parallel universes, I forget the name of it, where Ultraman was like the equivalent of Superman, but he was evil, and Lex Luthor's equivalent was good. I like that one a lot too. But yeah, with those movies, you know, I usually love them. And that's why they end up being buys for me.
I'm not going to take much of your time, but going to give you a little opportunity, throw in your plug, you know, let people know where they could find you, your social media, your company, and we'll definitely try to add your information to the description below.
All right, definitely. So the website, if you want to see any of the Faith Apparel, is projproof.com, and you can follow us at Project Proof on Instagram.
Well, there you go, guys. One love. Stay strong. Peace.
As I continue to develop skills in the art, a friend of mine introduced me to... We got to start on the mic.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. That happens to me all the time. I always forget. Art project. Sorry, this dude's distracting me.
We'll edit that post.
Now I have to come in.
Yeah.